If you live on the East Coast, it may be time to prepare for a stretch of wet weather. The National Hurricane Center is monitoring a system for potential tropical development, but even if it doesn't become a tropical system, it could bring rain and wind to the eastern U.S. this weekend. What can we expect? Hey guys, I'm John with New York Metro Weather. Today is Tuesday, September 19th. You are looking at the National Hurricane Center's 7-day tropical formation outlook, and we are focusing specifically on this yellow area highlighted with a 30% chance of developing into a tropical system over the next week. That is where some forecast model guidance suggests that a tropical system could form specifically this weekend, and models take that system and move it along the East Coast. But we're going to go into the details of what this is and why it's really not even all that important whether it becomes designated technically tropical or not. So checking out the European ensemble, here come our models. This is valid on Friday morning, and this is when we start to see some low pressures appearing. So as a reminder, we're looking at the European ensemble, and an ensemble is basically if you take the European model and you run it 30, 40, 50 times with these smaller satellite members underneath, we're looking at all of those individual members. And these individual L's are showing you where those members show storms forming. And if we move into Friday afternoon, into Saturday morning, a lot of these members are showing something going on here off the coast of the southeast United States and then shifting northward up the eastern seaboard through the weekend. That's going to be what we need to watch. But you'll notice that there's quite a bit of spread as to where this system will be. Will it be down here off the coast of Georgia or all the way up here off Maryland or Delaware? That's still to be determined. So what is happening? Why is this system forming? If we look at vorticity, which is basically just spin in the atmosphere, we can get an idea. So here comes some vorticity down Friday morning, and you'll watch it start to spin off the coast of the southeast and consolidate. That's the most important thing. It's consolidating into an organized system, and then it shifts northward up the east coast. It doesn't have room to go east. It's blocked here by a ridge of high pressure that's also situated to the north of it, but the storm moves up the eastern seaboard and organizes as it does so, shifting northward. What this will mean, this is the recipe for a lot of moisture being advected up the East Coast, right? You have a system of some sort of tropical origin sitting here, advecting moisture up along it, and it's kind of just stalled out for a little bit before it advects up the coast, and it has nowhere else to go. That's the recipe for a lot of moisture and the potential for heavy rainfall. One of the things that we're watching really closely, and one of the reasons this system could be more impactful, is the positioning of these high pressures. And this is why I argue that it doesn't really necessarily matter if it's tropical or not. So here comes our system forming. This is a GFS model. I want you to notice specifically this big, sprawling orange and red high pressure to the north of the storm on Friday morning. We know the way that air rotates around high pressure and the way that air rotates around low pressure, right? Around high pressure, it's clockwise, and around low pressure, it's counterclockwise. So around your low, your air is going to be rotating this way, and that's taking air here and putting it towards the coast. And around your high, your air is rotating this way, so your air is coming around and towards the coast. And they're all congealing here in this gradient, right? Your low is pushing air this way, and your high is pushing air this way. That creates an onshore flow here to the north of this low pressure where you have the potential for wind and rain and coastal surge and coastal flooding as this system shifts northward with the air rotating this way around the high and this way around the low. That adds some concern for this system because the potential for rain and wind and some coastal flooding and beach erosion could exist even if this doesn't technically become tropical at all. So let's look at what the GFS model shows here with moisture, and your red is showing you anomalous moisture, your blue is showing you anomalous dryness. So initially your high pressure is keeping things dry in New England, but your moisture is building down here, and here it comes up the coast. This is Friday afternoon. It surges into the mid-Atlantic. It's bringing rain into parts of the mid-Atlantic and the coastal regions of Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey. It's already brought rain to the Carolinas, and now that shifts northward with that anomalous moisture taking over and pushing into areas like DC, Philly, New York, and even parts of southern New England. And remember that easterly fetch, because of the positioning of the storm, gets enhanced with the potential for heavy rain. Here's that rainfall potential here on the model. So the GFS suggests that rain will push north. Again, this is valid Friday evening, and then Saturday morning it pushes northward, impacting areas like DC, Philly, New York, and eventually into southern New England as well. But I mentioned this high pressure in particular because I think there's going to be a little bit of a battle here between this low pressure system and this high pressure system. Who is going to win it? Is the high pressure going to win out and remain strong and keep the system shunted south, or will it be able to push northward like the GFS suggests? The European model, it suggests this high pressure wins and the storm system tries to come north but eventually goes east. The GFS says the low pressure wins and it pushes northward and it brings rain and wind to a lot of folks. I mentioned that pressure and that wind particularly because look at these wind speeds. You might be saying, wow, this is actually a little stronger than I thought. And it all is because of the gradient of that high pressure. It doesn't even need to be that strong of a system. When the high pressure is that strong to the north, you get a gradient and the wind gets enhanced. So here comes our wind. Watch it shift north up the east coast. Here's Friday afternoon, Friday night, Saturday morning, and that easterly flow is pushing into parts of Maryland, Delaware, New Jersey, Long Island, and it shifts northward over time. But again, that's all because of that big high to the north trying to press down in that battleground between the two. So we're going to have to watch this one real carefully, folks, through the weekend because the potential exists for heavy rain, localized flooding, and of course that onshore flow bringing wind, beach erosion, coastal flooding along the area's shorelines. If the European model idea is correct, this storm will come northward, but it'll eventually shift out to sea. You can see that suggestion here. Here comes the rain trying to get north, but it mostly stays offshore. If the GFS model idea is correct, this storm system comes north and it brings big time impacts to a lot of folks along the coast with heavy rain for part of the weekend. So we're going to have updates over the next couple days. We'll be tracking this storm system very carefully with the potential impacts along the East Coast. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. We'll answer them here tonight and over the next couple days. Thanks for watching, guys.